Hey guys, and welcome to another daily pack opening with us here at the Games Repository. Today we're seeing Magic the Gathering Conspiracy, the fun set that's great to draft and based completely around drafting. In the set there is a number of completely new cards as well as reprints of older cards designed to create a novel and extremely entertaining drafting process. You'll get to check out some of our other videos of the event day. But for now, let's get involved with the packs themselves. First up we have Turn the Tide. 2 mana blue instant, creatures your opponent controls get -2/-0 until end of turn. Pretty good way to stop your opponent on a big swing. If they tap out all their creatures, you take much less damage and then swing in for the win afterwards. Not a bad little card. Next up, Ajani Sunstriker. 2 mana, 2/2, white creature with lifelink. Not a bad little creature. Low mana cost. Though at double white, you have to be heavily invested into white. However, a 2/2 with lifelink, not bad. Can help you survive against red decks. Next we have Char Cougar. 6 mana, 4/4 red creature. 1 red, Char Cougar gets +1/+0 to end of turn. Typical fire breathing ability. Good if unblocked. However, one of its strengths lies in its mountain cycling ability. So for 2 mana, you discard him, search your library for a mountain, put it into your hand. This is a great way to fix your mana base if you're playing more than one colour. Next up, Trumpet Blast. 3 mana red instant, attacking creatures get +2/+0 until end of turn. Perfect way to finish off opponents who just won't die in time. Next we have Lilianas Spectre. 3 mana, 2/1 black creature. Flying. When Lilianas Spectre enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. Given the multiplayer nature of this format, the fact that each of your opponents discards a card is ridiculously strong. And as a 2/1 with evasion, it's a great little attacking creature. It's 2 black, pushes you in towards a heavy black strategy, but quite frankly, with the rest of its abilities, it's a definite play. Next up we have Howlin Wolf. Made famous a little while ago in a tournament deck, Howlin Wolf is a 4 mana 2/2 green creature. When Howlin Wolf enters the battlefield, you may search your library for up to 3 cards named Howlin Wolf, reveal them, and put them into your hand. If you do, shuffle your library. This is a great way to thin your deck should you have multiple Howlin Wolves. Also, this allows you... It works well with some of the other abilities in Conspiracy that you might see later on, where naming particular creatures leads to different effects when they enter the battlefield. Next up we have Altar's Reap. 2 mana black instant, at additional cost to cast Altar's Reap, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. Draw is always strong, and having it off colour from blue is particularly useful. Black being the second best colour at drawing spells is nice. And this can go a long way to helping you get through your deck quicker. Not a bad card, especially if you've got a creature that has an effect when it leaves play, or is just enchanted with something that makes it useless. Next up, Provoke. 2 mana green instant, untap target creature you don't control, that creature blocks this turn if able. Draw a card. This is somewhat of a pseudo removal spell. It can force your opponent to block with a creature that they have reserved for attacking and just don't want to get damaged. Or a creature that taps for a particularly strong ability. So at 2 mana, it's not bad. The fact it also cantrips makes it even stronger. Next up, Tragic Slip. 1 black mana instant. Target creature gets -1/-1 till end of turn. Morbid. That creature gets -13/-13 until end of turn, instead if a creature died this turn. Tragic Slip is a very strong creature removal spell. -13/-13 is pretty much enough to kill anything you can think of in any set.
Bless you.
Great spell. Thank you. Next up we have Glimmerpoint Stag. 4 mana 3/3 white creature. Vigilance. When Glimmer Point Stag enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So this could be a great way to remove an annoying blocker while also getting a 3/3 body, or as a way to remove an unwanted enchantment from one of your creatures. At 4 mana for a 3/3, it's got a strong body, it also has vigilance. All around, it's a great creature. The only drawback being that it's double white cost, forcing you in towards a heavy white strategy. Next we have Bite of the Black Rose. This is a 4 mana black sorcery. Will of the Council. Now, Will of the Council is one of the new mechanics in Conspiracy, leading itself strongly towards the multiplayer format. So, starting with you, each player votes for Sickness or Psychosis. If Sickness gets more votes, creatures your opponents control get -2/-2 till end of turn. If Psychosis gets more votes, or the vote is tied, each opponent discards 2 cards. Either way, for 4 mana, this is a strong effect. You either make them ditch cards from their hands, or -2/-2 to their creatures, which is a pretty hefty amount. Not a bad little card at all. Next up we have Quicksand. This is a non-basic land. Taps for 1 colourless mana, or tap, sacrifice Quicksand, target attacking creature without flying gets -1/-2 till end of turn. Can be a great way to stunt an attack. It slows down many attackers, and it forces your opponents to have evasion when they attack you. Next we have our rare Dawnbringer. She's a 9 mana, 4/6 legendary white creature. She has flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Very strong effect. Even if you only get to use it the once, it can turn a game around. Her cost is very high, but the fact she's a 4/6 with an evasion ability is helpful. The only real major drawback to her is the fact that the cost is 3 white, very much forcing you to have a very heavy white deck. Next up we have our foil card, Custody Squire. 5 mana, 3/3 white creature. Flying. Will of the Council. When Custody Squire enters the battlefield, starting with you, each player votes for an artifact, creature, or enchantment card in your graveyard. Return each card with the most votes or tied for most votes to your hand. This way, it allows you to return something from your graveyard to your hand, and it's always going to be useful. The choices are limited, so you can only return one of those things, but if you only have one of those things, it's fairly guaranteed what you're going to get. So 5 mana for a 3/3 body with an evasion ability. Pretty good spell either way. Not a bad little card. Next up we have what a lot of Conspiracy comes down to is these particular cards. Every booster pack comes with one of them. And here we've got Whispergear Sneak. He's a 1 mana, 1/1 artifact creature. Draft Whispergear Sneak face up. During the draft, you may turn Whispergear Sneak face down. If you do, look at any unopened booster pack in the draft or any booster pack not being looked at by another player. So this allows you to see what your opponent's going to have and plan out your pick from that booster. Particularly useful if you use it on the guy sat to your right or left, depending on the phase of draft. But can be a way to just irk somebody and open a booster before them. This perfectly shows what Conspiracy is all about. Fun draft mechanics to be had with lots of your friends. Thanks guys, and until next time.